talk about the making of the casting, the impact of this film, I want to go back and ask each of you if you can just...
It's a celebrity bus rider. Whoa. Oh. Yes. Stop right here. Right here. Where they're coming over this down here. Oh my God. Maybe this is us. Oh wow. There's a lot of them. Wow. Dad, come over. Oh, they see something. What they came out of the truck. Really? Yeah. Oh, that was great. Yeah. Wait, give me this tiny one, the tiny one. That was wonderful.
John, can I get you on the black? Can I get you on the black? Over here. John!
Yeah. Let's stay in the middle. Pass hold. Yeah. Okay.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to day 3 of the 36th annual Palm Springs International Film Festival, and this very special talking pictures of Wicked. Yeah, we're excited. My name is Jennifer Van Camp. I'm the programming and education manager here for the Film Festival and the Film Society. We're so honored to have you all with us here today. A couple people asked prior awards for the Hollywood Reporter, and he's going to introduce our special guest. So thank you all so much. Enjoy the show.
All right, guys. The moment is here. Would you please join me in welcoming from Wicked the wonderful director Jon M Chu. The actress Cynthia Erivo. And the actress Ariana Grande. Thank you, guys.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for making the time to do this. And before we talk about the making of the casting, the impact of this film, I want to go back and ask each of you if you can just share what Wicked meant to you before you were in any way associated with it. We should remind folks that the novel that inspired it is now 25 years old. The Broadway show debuted 23 years ago. Wicked's been a part of people's lives for a long time, and I believe for each of you it was an important part of yours.
Yeah, I remember seeing it before it went on Broadway in San Francisco with my mom. She invited me out. We always would go to the theater every weekend when I was growing women. And being so moved, thinking this is the most cinematic stage show I've ever seen in my life. I never thought I would get the opportunity to direct the movie 20-something years later. But also Wizard of Oz had such a huge impact on my family, immigrant parents who came over and told us about the Yellow Brick Road and the wizard behind the curtain. So to take a new perspective on that was just mind-blowing to me.
Absolutely. Cynthia and Ariana, I mean, you guys are certainly very well versed in the theater community. There aren't many other shows in musical theater history that have centered on a relationship between two women. Was this something that was this a production that meant a lot to you in the past, Cynthia?
Yeah, I think it meant a lot to the both of us, and for similar and different reasons. I came to it much later. I was 20 years old when I first heard of it, and I was at drama school, and when I felt a little bit strange or just like didn't feel like I fit, I would steal away to a music room with a piano with a friend of mine, and I would play the music. He would always bring a different set of librettos, and he always brought Wicked. So by the time I left drama school, I knew the music for Wicked like the back of my hand, but I'd never seen the show. When I was 25, I then took myself for a solo date. It was my birthday. And when I left that theatre, I felt really seen. I understood what it felt like to be misunderstood, to not fit, and just something about who Elphaba was really sort of connected with me. I felt very safe with it, and it didn't leave. And then full circle happens, and this comes up, and then just so happens to be 10 years from when I saw it to when I was cast. So it was like when I got cast and 25 when I saw it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Ariana.
I loved the show from the moment I saw it. I remember thinking, I've never seen something that makes me laugh this hard, cry this hard, something that encompasses humanness so perfectly, so beautifully, the complexities of being a person and being hurt but wanting to be good, and love and friendship and forgiveness, and the themes so beautifully. But also, I just fell in love with the music so much, and over the course of my life, it became a safe space for me. So if I was nervous to do a show, or if I was on tour, like I wouldn't do, sometimes I would do like a proper vocal warm-up, but most of the time I would just sing the Wicked soundtrack. And it would just be so comforting, and it was just a safe haven for me. And I always felt this deep, deep connection with Glinda and with Elphaba. I loved them both my whole life long. And I think that's one of the most special things about this piece is, yes, you know, it's like, are you a Glinda or an Elphaba? But both of these women live in all of us in certain ways, different pieces of them. And I think that's what makes it hit home so hard. I think that's why people fall in love with it so much, because it's just so spectacularly relatable.
So, John, from that day more than 2 decades ago when you're singing in San Francisco, another person who was there, I believe, that day was Mark Platt, the producer of the show and the movie. How did you guys then recross paths all these years ago?
Well, I went on to make a short film at USC that got some attention. So I met Mark Platt a few years later because I got into the business at that moment, and I made many movies since 2003 or whatever. And
several with Song and Dance?
Yes, several. Some Step Up 2 movies, and Justin Bieber, Never Say Never. Yeah, there you go. In the Heights, Crazy Rich Asians. Oh, it's not about me. It's about but it was, you know, every piece. I feel very lucky that I got another chance to make a movie. This was my film school. Making movies, studio movies, is a different type of movie making. You got to deal with the studio. You're working with big levers, and it all felt like it built to this moment where I could put it all together. And I had to go through my sort of cultural identity crisis and awakening through Crazy Rich Asians to again remind myself, once I got the tools down, to remind myself, oh yeah, what do you want to say? What is a movie that only you can put out there and get made? And a movie like this, where we can infiltrate a story that we've known, of Wizard of Oz, and make it for this time, this moment, when you find these two amazing women, when they came in and they sang these words that I've heard many times, but never felt the thing to fit with, when it comes out of their mouths, that's when I knew we had a movie to make, and I forced myself on Mark Platt and said, I'm here now, and I'm ready, let's go.
Well, one of the most amusing things, I was just saying with somebody, one of the most amusing things for me kind of covering recently the season is, you know, a lot of people here, I'm sure, know that, you know, who these two ladies are very well. Cynthia does so much, just an O short of the EGOT. That's pretty amazing. We got one of the biggest pop stars in the world next to her. And yeah, it's been so fun to talk to some of the older folks who are coming out of Wicked and saying, where did they find these two young ladies? So I want to ask, just for each of you, I believe the auditions were separate, and then once you were cast, you actually came together. But maybe that's wrong. Cynthia, how did it work?
Yeah, we never auditioned together, and the first time we sang together was at Jon's house. We spent some time together before that, because we just wanted to spend some time with just us two. She came to my house, and we sat on my floor, and we had some tea and some crudité, and just chatted about everything and nothing for 5 hours. Yeah, it was great. And then when Jon invited everyone to come over to his house for a little dinner just before we could start, and just so happened that Stephen Schwartz and Stephen Aramis were in the room, and he just so happened to have a piano, and the two of us sang together for the first time.
I just so happened to have brought a bucket of green paint.
Yes. And I had a little hat in my bag that might have worked. But somehow our voices just worked. We'd never sung together, and I think people may discount what it is to sing with another person, but it's incredibly vulnerable to be able to share that with someone. You have to immediately want to listen and be to each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's something that we, upon meeting, instinctually just were able to do for each other. Was we weren't singing at each other.
Yes,
we were
right.
never just singing to sing. We were listening to each other.
That's right.
And it was so strange because when we sing separately, our voices are
Very
quite different.
Yeah.
But when we sing together, even our vibratos kind of hold hands, and it just felt very. It was funny because after the first time we sang together at Jon's house, when we finished for good, we looked at each other and we were like, was that a little weird? Did our vibratos kind of meld and hold hands? And no, it felt, not to be corny and on the nose, but it felt really magical.
Yeah. There's a picture that our MD took, because before we would do rehearsals, we did a little comp setup, so we would have our songs recorded so we could do rehearsals. And when you look at her vocal line and my vocal line, they look the same. And which doesn't happen very often at all. So we sort of, even though it felt special to us, to see it was really something as well. So that something in the universe and us two were willing our voices to make sure they were also in tandem and working together. Yeah.
And I was just relieved.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for saying that. I'm so glad that he was really good.
But it was beyond the voices. It was beyond the voice. You know, the voice, of course, is now. But that day they came into the living room, they left their icon-ness at the door. And these were two dreamers sitting next to each other, the same height, which is crazy. And they started singing for good, and they held each other's hands. I didn't even hear their voices. I felt that energy. And I knew the world just has no idea about what's about to happen. And if I could get that on film, that they would be in that room with me that day. And I love that people are responding to it like that.
I want to follow up, Cynthia, you started to talk about how sort of life experiences may have prepared you for your role. Ariana, I get the sense there were maybe a similar feeling, different paths obviously, but just, I mean, you started out, like your first professional job was on Broadway, right? So singing and acting, 13. Then you moved more into acting for a bit, then for the last, 10 years or so, primarily singing. But during that, would you say that the craziness that has happened over, let's say, the last 10 years or so?
What are you talking about?
Well, I mean,
It's so normal.
I'm kidding.
I mean, there was something though about that I could see maybe being useful playing somebody who's quite popular.
Oh, I know what you mean. No, I mean, there were certain parallels for sure in my life. I think things that I got to draw from for Glinda for sure, but that wasn't, I mean, in a way it kind of was one of them, but I don't think so. There was, No One Mourns the Wicked is kind of a particularly complicated song, She has to put on a strong face and provide hope and be a source of light for these strangers, essentially. You know, she doesn't know them, but she loves them, and they love her, and they're looking to her for this hope when she's also needing to find her own strength for herself. So it's kind of difficult, and I feel like sometimes in my professional life I've had to perform through moments that felt tricky in that way, and her relationship to the audience is something that I think my own personal experience with my fans and my career was very useful for me, because Glinda loves Oz. She loves the audience, and that same hope that they look to her for, and that same void that they look to Glinda the Good to fill, they kind of fill it for her too when she's hurting. And you know, it's strange, but that particular parallel I found quite useful. I thought that was it's the unexpected ways, the unexpected turns that my life has taken along the way that prepared me for Glinda way more than just loving pink and high notes and sparkles, you know. It was the other stuff, the not so easy stuff, that I think I was able to use most for her, because there's a lot underneath the surface. And I think that's what helps the comedy live best, is that there's so much truth beneath it. Yeah.
Jon, I can think of very few movies where you look at it and you just are wowed by even just the sets, the costumes. It's like, truly, the production value is insane on this. And I know, you know, there are many movies that have a decent sized budget that don't have that effect on people. So it's not just about that. I wonder if you can talk about the group of people that you brought together to you know, make that possible, and just the effect that it does have on helping people feel immersed in the story.
Yeah, you know, we knew that if the story, the themes of it are digging at truth and what is truth, then we need to make an Oz, a place that we all know in our iconography of our heads, cinematically or literally, that it needed to feel real for these actors to live in, that it needed to feel real for the audience to walk into, that it wasn't just some dream, that it was a real place with real people, an audience that you really do care about, and you want to find a good leader for them. In a weird way, it reflected us, reflected where we were right after COVID, and coming into this new era that we're in, of that fear of change, of the unknown, of what our next chapter may be, that all the old stories didn't work. So we had to gather a group that understood that why. Yes, building things is, you know, you get enough crew, it's easy, but understanding the storytelling of every piece. So Nathan Crowley, our production designer, is beautiful. They say architecture is music frozen, and that's what he did. He took the music and with the sense of what we're trying to do, and froze it in time into this architecture. Alice Brooks, our cinematographer, amazing. The restraint. It's an easy movie to whip around and do crazy drone shots. The restraint of following these performances and these ladies who really led that, what they were doing, we would have to lead into it. That was beautiful. The silence of Myron Kirstein, our editor, to be able to sit and be patient and trust that the audience can be patient and silent with us. Of course, Paul Tazwell, the costumes, every button is considered, every pattern, every color. And hair and makeup, every munchkin, every Emerald City person, all the green, all the freckles, all the things, like it all had to work together. So it was really about, what are we all doing together? What's the purpose of this? We had a war room where we did the color, we put every picture of every concept art and model, we had model makers and hand painters in this one room, so you could walk the feel of what this movie was going to feel like, movie 1 and movie 2. And so every part, we knew that if we were going to support these women in doing what they were giving us, that every piece had to be as delicate, as refined as their performances, and that takes everybody. That's the beauty of movies, though, too.
Totally. We'll ask two brief but big questions, if I can, for whoever wants to jump at them. Obviously, again, we've said The Wizard of Oz itself goes back more than 100 years, I believe, right? In terms of the novel, and then the film, obviously, then the novel of Wicked, and the production, the theatrical, and now this. somehow spoken to different generations, but what's amazing is, so you guys probably wrapped this, at least the shooting, how long ago? Like quite a while ago.
A few months ago, we wrapped in February.
In February, okay.
Of last year.
So even that, like it's somehow, as people will see if they haven't seen the movie yet, and they know if they haven't, it somehow still speaks to the moment in the real world in a pretty major and jarring way. Now there were some tinkers and things that I know you, Jon, I think, inserted there, slight changes in dialogue that, for instance, I believe with the defying gravity guards and stuff that people will see. But the point is, I just wonder if you can talk about what you think it's, how, just about that kind of amazing phenomenon, which is not true at all for most projects, that it can sort of speak to the moment whenever it is seen.
I think there's several things that happen with this piece. I think when a piece draws on what it is to embrace humanity and what we do within those confines, how we treat each other, what we see of each other, what we assume people have or do not have, what people can and cannot do, that's always going to stand the test of time. That's always going to be a conversation that we have to have, that we need to have, because there is always the vacillation of the way we accept others as they are or the way we reject others. And so there's always a lesson to be learned about how we can make space for one another when we're different, and how we can decide to change our minds, or how we don't decide to change our minds, and what the effects are when we do that. But I was thinking today, I got this, so occasionally we get lovely messages from Kristen Chenoweth and Adina Menzel, and Kristen has been sending random Instagram posts to me, and today she sent an Instagram post of this little girl who has painted her face green, and she has a swimming pool floaty which she is using as a broom, and when the music comes on, she jumps into her dad's arms and her dad flies her around. I also think the thing about this is it is making like young kids and their families believe in magic, like believe that anything is possible. So even against the backdrop of the things that we have to learn as human beings, we also get to see what it's like when there's a spark in someone and they can believe that it's possible to do things that are said to be impossible. I think that's what makes it happen.
Alright, well, I think we got people that are itching to see the movie as much as they love hearing you all and us talk about it. So what we are going to do is thank these guys so much for making the time, and now enjoy with it.
Down, down. 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 Come on. Counting on you. Fall down. Seriously?
Do you need my help?
No, just wear the frobe. It's pretty.
Let's just start a little small.